Something always goes wrong, no matter what. No matter what you think, cool, I got this contract manufacturer to help me out. They're going to do small MOQs. Awesome. Finally, somebody's going to help this small baby brand, right? Nope. I've gone through 2 years wasted with 3 contract manufacturers that all 3 of them were like, yeah, we'll do small minimum orders for you, no problem. And then 6 months goes by, 7 months go by, and then they come back to me and they're like, yeah, we can't do that for you anymore. These are things that happen with small brands, and time gets wasted.
Is there a specific challenge or a problem that you can think of that you've dealt with through the process of building up this business to help our listeners understand what it really takes to be a top quality entrepreneur like yourself?
One of the biggest challenges.
Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we can discuss how to grow 1% every day in both business and itself. Today, we have Rene Rainey, a TV producer turned personal care brand founder. Her direct and no BS strategy is what got Bath Slut to be the outspoken brand it is today. Excited to talk with Rainey about her journey with Bath Slut, take a deep dive into her brand positioning, which is very unique, and discuss the future of personal care brands. Thank you, Rainey, for joining me today.
Hi, no problem. You're welcome.
Excited. And founders like you that take a unique structure to how they present their business, even a product that we see at Bath and Body Works, we see all over, even at Walmart, that is kind of mass produced and mass seen across the market. But the uniqueness that you've given your brand name, your positioning, and your products, I think really excel you past a lot of the competition. So we'd love to hear, where did Bath Slut come from? Awesome name, by the way. Where did Bath Slut come from? How did you develop this company? And how did you create that unique ambiance that you have around the positioning and messaging of the company?
I decided to create Bath Slut at the end of 2021. I was a television producer and film producer, and I decided to switch industries because I honestly, when I was a TV producer, I would end up coming home from set and I would take a bubble bath every day. And that was the way that I would decompress from like a toxic environment most of the time. And so my husband started to call me a bath slut. And so when I decided to leave television, I knew I wanted to start a company and do something on my own for the rest of my days, I guess. And I was talking to my sister and I was like, okay, what do I want to do? What are 3 things that I really love? And I was like, okay, I love lipstick, wine, and bubble baths. And I thought, okay, well, I'll start with bubble bath. And I decided to start a company starting with bubble bath. And when it came to the name, I was like, well, what do I call this company? And I remembered my husband called me a bath slut. And I was like, bath slut, that's what it is. So I named it Bath Slut.
And no, it's an incredible story. And I like the kind of the emotional tie back that you have of, this is what I love to do, right? I want to find something that's holding true to my heart, something that I can stand by and support, which entrepreneurs listening to this right now, it's a huge problem in the industry, right? You go after the fast cash, you go after something that's going to make you quick money. It's a short sprint, but if you don't have true emotion and reasoning behind why you're trying to solve a problem or give a service out into the world, it always seems to fizzle out. But Rene here, the story in the background really leads into an awesome positioning of the product and supporting something that you absolutely love. But let me ask you, why didn't you go after the same messaging or positioning that we see from everyone else, which is just, take care of your body, take care of your skin? It seems from your website and, what I've seen from you previously, you have a very direct approach that's really focused on not just the product of taking a bath, but the product of taking care of your body and your sexuality as a woman, from what I can see. Is that off to say?
Well, thank you for saying that, by the way, because I feel like people don't, well, first of all, I think everybody wants to feel sexy. I don't care who you are. There's not a person alive that's breathing that does not want to feel sexy. And so I just think there's no better place to do that than when you're naked and in the bath. And I know when I started to take baths every day, it really, not only did it give me a place to like really decompress mentally, but it gave me an opportunity to honestly really get in touch with my body and actually really have an appreciation for my body. And I was getting older. And when I started this company, I was 51 years old and, starting to go through perimenopause. And so I knew my body was changing, and that's okay. That's totally okay. And I think no matter what your shape is, color, size, I don't care. Like, everybody should feel good in their skin and should love their body and should embrace their body. And so my products, honestly, they're just something that should enhance that experience. Really, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about the products, even though I love my products and I think they're really great and they actually do perform. They are here to enhance your experience, to make your self-care experience, make it more enjoyable. And really, like, I want you to enjoy your body while you're doing it. You should feel sexy. I call it sexy self-care.
I love that. And you're 100% correct, right? Everybody wants to be able to look in the mirror and feel that confidence, because that's what it really stems from, right? You feel sexy, you feel confident. With confidence, you could run the world, right?
Right.
Let's dive into your products a little bit, because, developing products like this is very unique. There's a lot of ways to do it, and everyone has their own little spin on the uniqueness or unique selling proposition you put behind the products you develop. Can you dive in? I can see now that you have bath salts, you have body scrubs, you have body oil, and then obviously you have the bubble bath. You started with the bubble bath, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that product's unique. How is that different than some other bubble bath that I would find on the shelf?
Well, I started testing out a lot of different bubble bath bases, and it took me a while. And I pulled from a lot of different resources, and I finally found a manufacturer that made a really great base for me. And with that base, I then took a couple of really key things that I then added to that base. One of them being olive oil. And I chose olive oil because I'm Lebanese and my father grew up in Lebanon, and he grew up on an orchard, like a olive orchard, like in his backyard. And so his family grew olives, and they made olive oil, and that was their business. And so it kind of ties back to my Lebanese roots. And, I'm still trying to work out how to actually get the olive oil from Lebanon, because I think it's really important for me to really truly tie it back to my family. But exporting it from Lebanon is really difficult. So I'm still kind of working on that, but it took me a year to kind of really fine tune this bubble bath. And I played around with like a couple of different additives with this base that, the manufacturer was like, I don't know, you can only add so much into the base and blah, 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 including the fragrance and all that. So anyway, I finally found this, like, I kind of played my own chemist in my kitchen, like a lot of people do, and I found this really great recipe that, honestly, to this day, I'll knock on a little bit of wood, and I've only gotten 5 stars on it. It really is a hero product, and I hope that more and more people hear about the brand and buy this bubble bath, because honestly, it's not even really about the money for me. It's about the product, because it's really great. It's really silky and really bubbly, and the fragrances are great, because I get them from a Japanese fragrance house that I work with, a perfumer. They're called Takasago, and they're lovely. And they're really unique fragrances.
R&D was it sounds, I apologize, I didn't interrupt you there, but it sounds like the R&D was your favorite part. Your enthusiasm behind bubble baths, and then you started diving into the testing. Seems like R&D definitely for this. You had fun with that process, or what?
Well, I'm a producer, and so producers are really curious people. And curiosity never goes away from me. Like, it's just in me. And so the R&D part, yeah, that's very astute, because the R&D part in me, that it is really, like, if I could be a perfumer, I probably would be a perfumer, because I fell in love with perfumery throughout this process too. Like, if you saw to just over here, I have about 100 fragrances over here. And I took a perfume class at FIT just because I love it so much. But like, no, I mean, if you could see me in my kitchen, like, I play around with all kinds of things, because I love R&D. It is fun. It's so much fun, because like, you get to create things, and not a lot of founders do that. That's one of the beauties about starting a really small company, is that you actually can do it. in your kitchen, and you can kind of play around with it. That's one of the good things about it. But, there's a lot of like downsides.
Well, also most other owners don't do it because they don't care to, right? It's a
Right.
huge factor. And for the people listening, this is the type of enthusiasm and energy you want if you want to start any e-commerce brand. It is not a set it and forget it type of structure. It's not you build a product and the consumers will come. It takes the sweat equity and the work to find the right product line. It takes the sweat equity and the structure to do the R&D to figure out what's actually going to, hold on, I'm so sorry.
No problem. I get it. I had two little ones at one time.
It takes the energy and enthusiasm to find the right products, to work through the R&D, to understand what's actually going to be unique in the market, what's going to resonate with the customer base that you want to go after, and something that you can be proud of. Again, we don't want to go after that quick fizzle sale process. And just hearing the enthusiasm come from you, Rene, is super exciting, right? We work with multiple different e-commerce brands to scale them from 100 to we scaled one recently from $1,000 to $100,000 in a month within 90 days. Amazing. And the only way you can do it is the founder to have the energy, the founder to have passion, because with that spend, it comes a lot of stress. So let's talk about the business today. Let's talk about where it's going. Can you lay out now what Bath Slut looks like in 2025, and then kind of dive into where you want to take this company?
Well, where it looks like now, it's been a few years of me developing a brand, trying to get this brand to have a very unique voice. I finally feel like Bath Slut has a very specific point of view. I think you get the brand, you understand its voice. I spent a few years developing products, like you said, the R&D part of it. That was really important for me. And developing the aesthetic for the brand. Now that I have that, I'm ready to sort of roll into something more scalable. So, we have been invited to join bigger platforms, bigger e-com platforms, Amazon, Walmart, all of that. We're on a couple of other e-com platforms. It's a really weird place where I'm at right now, and I feel like startups get to this place, a lot of them, where you strive so hard to get to this place of growth where you're able to get onto these big platforms. You get onto these big platforms, and now you need the resources to grow your inventory, right? So that's where I'm at right now. Now I have to get the resources to grow the inventory so that I can sell on these larger platforms and I can advertise. So that's where I'm at. And that's sort of it's a tricky place to be, because, it's a great place to be, but you have to have the money to be able to make it work. So you either make it work or you die. And so that's where I'm at right now. So we hustle. We hustle.
Exciting times, right? And love to enlighten a little bit of the listeners that we have, because there's a lot of business owners, like as you said, that get to that point. They put the love and the effort into their product. They build sales. They build a bit of a community, and then that opens the door for them for larger retail sales and kind of mass production within the business. And then I'm assuming at your point, are you looking at both angel investors and manufacturing facilities as well as 3PLs to kind of put the whole system together, or what's the next steps for you?
Yeah. So I recently spent quite a bit of time putting together an investor deck. I've gone out to a small group. I'm about ready to go out to a larger group of people. Yeah. So I'm spreading my wings, in hopes that I can get a little bit of money to hit this next phase of growth, because right now it's, all self-funded. It's not a little bit of money to fund a personal care brand. You're not talking like jewelry, right. which that's not cheap. I'm not trying to downplay a jewelry business or any other business. By the way, having a business of your own is very hard in any business. It's not for the faint of heart. It's tough. So I would never downplay anybody having any business. I'm just saying, like, when you have a line of products, contract manufacturers go into it, packaging goes into it. Oh my God, that's such a bitch. You name it. It is every level of every single thing that So many things you just don't even think about. Like I was saying to my designer friend who I started my career at Estee Lauder with many, many years ago, my sister who's in procurement and supply chain, she's built her whole career on it. I said, and my husband and a bunch of people, I was like, if I were to write a book, the title of the book would be It's Always Something, because it's always something that happens. Something always goes wrong, no matter what you think. Cool, I got this contract manufacturer to help me out. They're going to do small MOQs. Awesome. Finally, somebody's going to help this small baby brand, right? Nope. I've gone through 2 years wasted with 3 contract manufacturers that all 3 of them were like, yeah, we'll do small minimum orders for you, no problem. And then 6 months goes by, 7 months go by, and then they come back to me and they're like, yeah, we can't do that for you anymore. These are things that happen with small brands, and time gets wasted. But that's just one thing,
Yeah.
So it's not all like, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not sunshine and rainbows. What I tell a lot of people that ask to get into the entrepreneurship or the business owners, it's like you got to be good at what you do, and you got to be great at putting out fires. You become a firefighter every single day. And for us as entrepreneurs, and I think the listeners can resonate with this. It all seems to be a fire, right? Because when we have this desire and this passion to grow, anything that slows us down from that process is a problem, right? That needs to be extinguished. So,
and thank goodness I make self-care products, because I take a lot more baths these days.
But I mean, it fits in perfect with the product. I mean, that really, Rene, I love the tenacity. I love the direction that you've gone, and love the transparency that you have of the kind of, this is the process that people need to go through. If you want to make it big time, it's not just about popping up an e-commerce store and working on your products. Once you get there, you're going to go through a whole nother level of product design, packaging design. Recently I was watching an interview with Mr. Beast, and he talked about how when he made his chocolates, they were horrible because he didn't understand packaging design. He didn't understand why there was cuts in the chocolate stuff that you would just never even think about. That become massive factors of your business and a core reason of your success or failure. So the entrepreneurs out there, I hope you can hear Renee's tenacity, and especially for our female entrepreneurs out there that are listening to this, make sure you go check out bathslut.com, because if you're dealing with the same thing that she is, you guys could use her bubble bath, her body oils, and all of the other aspects that could make your day just a little bit better. Renee, I want to go into thank you for the breakdown of your history and kind of where you are. I want to go a little bit into the future, and then we'll dive into some small piece of advice before we close this out. You've pioneered a product that was based around what you love and you wanted to do, and you wanted to help out the world of making an area of their life, that bath, a place where they can relax and be themselves and really appreciate their body. Where do you see specifically the health and wellness industry going in, say, the next 12 to 18 months? Do you find people are going to be more bold like you have? Do you feel like people are going to hold back a little bit? How do you see your industry specifically evolving?
Well, I will say, people want an experience. People want an experience to go along with the product. And honestly, they want more of an experience than they want the product. They want something that makes them feel good. It's more about the lifestyle, almost more than it is the product. So if you have a really great product that can set the stage for something that makes somebody feel like they are in a really amazing world, and it just makes them feel safe and it makes them feel great. And I'm speaking of just my sort of self-care world. It's a win-win situation for that customer, because you've got a great product, but you're also setting the stage for this sort of secure, safe space that's making somebody feel like they're just being ultra pampered. It's a sensorial experience, I call it. And there's been a lot of talk about this at different conferences, and a lot of research has gone into this. I talk about it a lot in my investor deck. I did a lot of research on this. The industry right now is a $14 billion bath and body care business right now. It's expected to go to $27 billion by 2030. Bath and body care. So it's not going away. It's only going up, and a lot, quickly. So bath and body care is becoming the fastest growing segment in skincare. So that's pretty big. So it's here to stay. It's here, it's growing fast. So it's a good business to be in right now. I think it's going to be pretty saturated if it's not already saturated, but I think it's probably going to be a lot more saturated right now. I do not think that bubble bath per se is that saturated just yet. I don't really think anybody's really truly tapped into that market in a really big way. So I think Bath Slut has a good opportunity to do that with the right partners. So I'm hoping that we're able to kind of stay innovative and, find the right partners to help us grow and just sort of stay on top of industries, research and things like that. But I think I'm going off on a tangent, but I don't think that the industry is going anywhere. I think it's growing. It's growing fast. Like I said, it's the fastest growing segment in skincare, bath and body care. And that's my business. So when I started doing the research, I actually was really surprised, happily surprised.
Yeah, you seem to be ahead of the curve, honestly, because as stress levels increase, which is an average, just every single day, it seems like either from the announcements of war to the economic structure to the battles that we have here in the U.S., we all need that place. We all need that place that we can sit down and be one with ourselves and be calm and be happy and as you said, feel sexy, right? And be able to get that confidence from that process. And I believe that you're ahead of the curve on that. And to see that industry growing and developing, I think your unique angle of going after, like, I would love to see an ad for you guys that went after female entrepreneurs or female individuals that are working two jobs, and going after that consumer avatar that's based around women who don't want to slow down, but still deserve that time alone, that still deserve that moment to feel sexy, even though they're working one job in the morning and another job at night. Well, you deserve the bubble bath more than anybody, right? So I can definitely see the angle you're going after, and then the additional stress that's happening from just the general environment combined with the economy and how much the consumers have to work nowadays to be able to afford their dollar. I think you're ahead of the curve, and I think the product is beautiful. And really, what gets me is the messaging of you just being very blunt about being there for the sexuality and the sensation that you guys have bringing within the bubble baths. Love it.
Yeah.
Let's give a little advice to our listeners and kind of pull some data from you of what made you the entrepreneur you are today. Is there a specific challenge or a problem that you can think of that you've dealt with through the process of building up this business that you can kind of talk about how you've gone through and how you accomplished that or push past that challenge to help our listeners understand what it really takes to be a top quality entrepreneur like yourself?
A specific problem and how it shaped me for my business.
It could be personal, as long as it leads back into like how you became better in business and all, because a lot of the entrepreneurs that are listening to this right now, we know we all go through challenges. We all go through trials and tribulations throughout our process. And like you mentioned before, it's just something else. It's another thing that comes up every single day that you have to deal with. But was there any one that comes to mind that was really monumental in your growth?
I mean, well, I kind of tapped into it already. And I don't know if this really answers your question or not, but one of the biggest challenges that I've had with my business, and I don't know if it really goes into my growth, but I think it definitely has helped shape me a little bit, is like the contract manufacturer thing. That has just been a beast. And I have to say just that, but also the it's always something mantra. One thing between that and the contract manufacturers and it's always something with every day of this business, the one thing that I've learned with all of that is patience. And I will say I'm not a very patient person. I'm a pretty speedy person. And I think you kind of have to be that way when you're a TV producer. Like, you don't really have an option when you're going out and producing television. You have to be on top of your game. You have to be incredibly resourceful, and you have to be able to pivot at any given moment, So to come from that to owning your own business and this type of a business and getting screwed over by multiple people on a daily basis because you're so small and nobody's going to take you seriously because you don't have like the capital or enough quantities of your products that you can order or whatever the issue is, right? Like, you really do learn that you have to take everything with a grain of salt, and you really have to learn that you have to just sit back and take really big, deep breaths and be patient.
Mm.
And never, and I've really learned to, if today somebody says to me, yeah, we're going to do that for you, and you're like, okay, cool, like the end of last year I got this really great bit of news and I was like, awesome, I'm going into the new year with this really great contract, this really awesome thing, and I was so stoked, and it fell through, and you just kind of have to just be okay with it. And it's patience and honestly resilience. And you just kind of have to get to a place to where you're just like, it's okay. It's okay.
Patience, resilience, understanding the problems are going to come and they're going to come and they're going to come. And you just have to, I think another thing that I just have to bring up is the consistency, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like, with patience means you have the consistency to keep going and keep pushing. And as an entrepreneur, we understand that it is not going to be easy. There's no easy days. And if there is an easy day, the next day is going to be just twice as hard, right? So
Right.
It always balances itself out. But it's awesome advice, the patience, right? Making sure that you're patient and that you don't get too high from the highs and too low from the lows. You have to stay consistent. Yep.
Balance. That's right. Because the second you get too high, you're going to get taken right down. It's like finding that balance and not happy. Like, you should be happy when you get really good information or good news. Everybody deserves that, right? But like, it's just like, finding that balance where you're just kind of like, I'm not going to like be so like, I'm not going to get ahead of myself,
Yep. Yeah.
because I'm just so used to like getting bad news, not that that's like a bad thing. It's just like, I've just gotten used to it, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm still here. I'm still standing, I'm still here. It's all good.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's the attitude we need to have as entrepreneurs, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I believe the world is truly yin and yang, right? For every negative, there's a positive. Every positive, there's a negative. So, and we see this in business as entrepreneurs. Inches Away from Gold is a book that breaks down how, most people just stop centimeters, a foot away from finding their success. And it's really the ones like yourself that are patient and consistent that truly find what they're looking for as an entrepreneur. I love it, Rene.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I mean, every entrepreneur out there would be lying if they told anybody that there weren't many days where they weren't thinking that they were going to quit. Everybody has those days. Everybody has those days. It's just whether or not you keep going.
It's whether or not you keep going. I love that. Final question I have for you, right? Yeah. And for the listeners and for you, I want to ask you how you find your Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese business philosophy that means 1% improvement every single day in both business and itself. And I think you've really alluded to it on most of this call, which is those baths at the end of the day that allow you to really relax and settle yourself and be one with yourself. But is there any other daily practices that you have now, especially going from the TV producer to an entrepreneur? Is there a daily practice that you've brought in as an entrepreneur that keeps you aligned, feeling great? Maybe a morning ritual or something that you do just to make sure that you're the best you every single day and you can find that 1% improvement.
Yes. I exercise almost every day and I cook pretty much every day. That's my Kaizen.
I love that.
I love cooking.
Do you like Italian food, Mexican food? What kind of food?
It's meditation for me. My Italian food is mostly that's my favorite cuisine. I love cooking fresh pasta. That is definitely my favorite. But I really like challenging myself with all kinds of cuisine. I really can follow a recipe real well. But I love that. Like, but I also make my own stuff. But I am a definite foodie, and I love wine.
Love wine. A little bit of wine, a little bit of bath, maybe a little bit of pasta, and you have the night.
I told you, wine, bubble bath, and lipstick.
Lipstick. Yep, I love it. So, Rene Rainey, thank you so much for your time. And congratulations with your progression with Bath Slut, and even with all the complications and the problems that are going to come. I know with your consistency, your persistency, as well as your patience, you're going to find the success that you're looking for. Can you give the listeners, if they're looking to find that relaxation or what they need for their late nights, the bubble bath, how do they find you? Where do they get contact with you? Where can they find your amazing products?
You can find me at www.bathslut.com. That's my website. And I'm also on Etsy. I also do wholesale on Fair Marketplace. And we're on wolfandbadger.com for anybody international. And yeah, that's where you can find me right now. We're on Amazon, but we're not set up. We're not listed. We have a shop, but we're not really active right now. But yeah.
We're going to put that website below in the description for anybody that's looking for it. I'm looking at the website now. It looks beautiful. The products look awesome. It's probably something I'm going to have to pick up for my wife. And we do truly appreciate having you on the Kaizen podcast. For all the listeners out there, if you got the chance to finish this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.